right, next up we have Kelly Simmons. She is the author of 2 literary novels published by Simon & Schuster, Standing Still and The Birdhouse. Her books have received star reviews from Publishers Weekly and Kirkus Reviews and have been read by hundreds of book clubs across the country. She is currently finishing up her 3rd novel, Visiting Hours. She lives with her husband, daughters, dogs, and cats in the friendly hamlet of, wait for it, Rosemont, Pennsylvania.
She's lost out. Just fleeing. Just following Harley is very hard to do. So I'm doing something crazy. I thought, well, should I read from my first or my second book? And I thought, no, because I'll die if I have to read from those books again. Because I've just been doing it too much. I've been going to all these book clubs, and the book clubs are all very lovely, but you read the same sections and they ask you the same questions, and I was like, oh my God, plus there's at least 6 people in the room who've heard me read from those books so often. And I thought, well, I could read from what I'm working on right now, which is about a woman who falls in love with her best friend's son, who's 17. And I thought, well, there could be a 17-year-old in the room. It's a college. So anyway, this is crazy, but I'm reading from my book that I just sent to my agent, which is called Visiting Hours, and I've never read it, so you know it's going to be a nightmare. But forgive me. I didn't have any other choice. I didn't know what to do. I'm not going to tell you anything about it. You can read it. Of course, I didn't think I was in a coma. Who hears the whiskey-tinged ballad of a long-ago lover floating in and gathering force like concept album lyrics in a sunken living room and thinks, gee, I must be in a coma? No. My first guess is, I'm dreaming. My second is, I'm high? Are these deep but disembodied notes the gauzy edge of that flashback everybody warned me about? Oh, for fuck's sake, I can't be having a flashback with a teenager in the house. What will I tell her? Honey, while you were at calculus and I was home writing, a guru from the sweat lodge came by and some toxins from the 80s were accidentally released. Why did I let Will Ramsey slide that tab of acid onto my tongue with the reverence of a wafer-toting priest? Why did I dip my head to drink from his murky cup of mushroom tea? Because I was an idiot, that's why. I was young and not only foolish enough to wear leg warmers, but dumb enough to fall in love with a voice, a pair of eyes, a lock of long hair that fell across his eyebrow. Not the whole, not an actual human man, but the parts, the giblets, the wing, the heart. That's what I'll tell my daughter, Jillian. I was stupid, and that's precisely how I know when you are being stupid. My head pounds and I want to cover my eyes, but my hands don't move. That's part of it, right? You think you can't move your body, but it's all in your mind? And that's why my bed doesn't feel like my bed, but some kind of cushion that's smaller and mean and scratchy. So I am hallucinating that I'm sleeping in someone else's bed or a battered sofa or, don't judge me, in the back of a Volkswagen van, and that Bill is by my side, tempting me and torturing me with his sad lyrics and his tumbled hair and his torn jeans. I've conjured his voice, the depth of it, and also the unpredictability, how he could hold a note down or raise it up from underneath. Then when you least expect it, break it heartbreakingly in two. The lingering traces of 27-year-old LSD have done the impossible. They've summoned the fragrance of my broken heart. The salt of his scalp, the oil of his unshaven face, the last traces of coffee at the back of his throat, the mint of his white teeth calling out of the darkness, calling out of the darkness of old whiskey as he sings to me. He stands above me on the right side of this room, some small damp space I've invoked from another life, offering lyrics that are both tender and furious, a song only he and I know was written for me. My name isn't in it. He said I was too cool for that, and I was. Oh, I was. How I would have hated joining that pantheon. For every raw Allison or Angie, there are a dozen sticky sweet Carolines. It was my name that stopped him, though. I always believed that, not his shame. Danny. How easily Danny could be misconstrued. He sings me a lullaby. That's what he called our song, the world's least likely hit, the most downloaded song Will and his band have ever written, covered by everybody from Elvis Costello to the Dixie Chicks to Tony Bennett. The song I hear in an elevator occasionally, with the swelling string section that makes me wince as each floor rises higher. A go-to-sleep song, as if it was that simple. Will sings as if I'm his only audience, as if there is only one sentient being in the room. He sings powerfully without being overly loud. His voice soars to just the right shape, filling the square, ordinary space exactly. Even now, after everything that's happened to him, he sounds clear and true. His voice is not a cloud turning into a sun, morphing into a moon. I was wrong. This is no shaggy-edged hallucination. This is real. Not because it's smooth, auto-tuned, and practiced. I know Will's notes are real because they're flawed. They rise with strength and break and tumble into sadness. I could never conjure that tear caught in the furthest corner of his throat. No one can do that but him. Will is really here, and I am here with him in the smallest venue he's ever played. Yet there will be no applause from my hands, no article written, no critique offered. Is that why he came? To have a pure exchange, all give, no take? I don't smell the oil furnace, my cat, flowers in the kitchen, damp shoes from the rain, last night's dinner. But beneath Will's chorus, there are sounds, droning, tuneless, circling the room. I know suddenly deep in my bones that everything else in this room is a machine, breathing and humming its mechanical community. Will stands because there's nowhere to sit. He sings because there's nothing else to do. There are no sofas, no plants, no stuffed animals, no swaying silver balloons. Intensive care. I'm alone, no roommate, no visitors allowed, no gifts in ICU. Terrible news, but it could be worse, couldn't it? After all, I'm used to being alone. My husband and I live apart. I work by myself as a freelance music critic. My parents are on an around-the-world cruise, and my daughter Jillian isn't speaking to me. I'm about as alone as a person living on a cul-de-sac can be. Here, I can expect nurses, doctors, orderlies, and apparently a rock star. I guarantee someone will speak actual words instead of grunts and sighs. And I can look forward to visiting hours. Like happy hour, but with flowers. Well, I'm trying to be optimistic. We all know the rules of intensive care. Will must have told them he was my brother. A common enough trick, but I can imagine him charming the nurses, showing his dimples, which he can pop out with just a slight asymmetry of his smile, asking, "Don't you see the resemblance?" I struggle to open my eyes, not to see the sallow room or read the finely calibrated machines, but to study Will's eyes again. Would they have aged up close without the gloss of a magazine cover? Brown marbled with green, with lashes so long he complained they bent against his sunglasses. How he hated sunglasses. They contorted and hid his finest features. I thought of that often after he became famous and had to don them just to claim a moment's filtered peace. And I wonder, too, if beneath the inevitable wrinkles, he's the same boyish self, the one who had no food in the refrigerator but a guitar in every room, the one whose fingers strummed and picked even as he slept. I can still see him draped across the sofa, eyes closed, fingers moving like a dog's paws running in dreams. The last magazine article I read about him said he had a spare bedroom outfitted with a vintage Hot Wheels track. The year we were together, he carried a Matchbox car in his guitar case. Good luck. It was blue, the same color as his van, and the same color as the 280Z he crashed in the cliffs of Big Sur. I can picture him all I like, but my eyelids refuse to open or close tight. They're doll's eyes, no control, hinging open and shut with each new tilting arrangement. It doesn't really matter. I can't see, and I can't move. I command each hand, order it. Left, right, lift. I do this several times. My attitude progresses from sergeant scream to yogic intention, then finally shame. He's finally here, and you're going to waste this moment? Grab him, Danny. Look him in the eye and tell him how he both ruined you and saved you. Or at least get his autograph for your friends. All these signals and messages sent to eye, mouth, limb, hand spin uselessly inside me. They bubble and strain against my organs and skin. What has happened to me? Why can't I harness my energy now and will myself into movement? I growl. Oh, I'm sorry. I have a typo. Oh my God. Okay. All right. Will grips the metal railing of my hospital bed. His silver rings clink against it like a cymbal or tambourine as he sings. Silver rings, never gold. Long fingers, short nails. What promoter is responsible for this concert? Who told Will that I was here? Could he have been with me when I was hurt? Or did he come afterwards? No one would think to call him of all people. There must have been some other way he found out. But what would it take, I wonder, to summon a famous person to my side? I allow myself the fantasy of a spectacular accident, like Will's accident, tumbling through air, fire, metal, a narrow escape. My face on the front page, national news instead of Will's. How big was this crash? How flashy, how bright? I think of Will's brother Tracy, who played bass and sang harmony. How odd our song sounds in this room without him filling in those gaps, those pockets of emptiness. Tracy, who always sat in the back, who softened all the rough edges. Suddenly my stomach lurches. Tracy was always with Will. But who was with me? My daughter? My husband? Where are they? Is that why Will is here? Because he knew he was all I'd have left? His voice wraps around the numbers of the song smoothly, then catches, as it always does, on the word one. No, I want to scream. Please, let me have been alone in that car. Outside the room, someone giggles, and Will stops, turns his head over his shoulder. Oh, you like that part, do you? You like sad parts? You're one of those masochistic nurses? She laughs again, and he chuckles, low and deep in his throat. He always laughed as if at a private joke. You gotta be twisted to work here, right? The only way to get through the day, huh? No, he wouldn't joke in the face of tragedy. I would, but he wouldn't. Run away, yes. Joke about it? No, I don't think so. Will loves to charm people, but he wouldn't laugh if things were dire. My daughter must be fine. My condition must be better than it seems. Don't they medically induce comas sometimes to aid healing? I like that idea, being pupa and transitional. When I wake up, I will be better, healthier than before. And, I think suddenly, my stomach growling, the weight of the IV resting on my hand, I will be thinner. My shoulders release, my stomach settles, and he starts the second verse. I have heard it so often, this song, that its meaning has changed. It's taken on all the speculated melancholy that others have brought to it. It's as if Will knows the song doesn't make me cry anymore. It's become something tender and removed, like a small shoe unearthed at an archaeological dig. Remarkable, but not mine. Then something that makes me smile. What if Michael comes now and sees Will here? The politician husband in the blue blazer meeting the ex-boyfriend in the leopard coat, the velvet shirt. I feel it bubbling up, this delicious urge to almost giggle, but it has nowhere to go, no release. No sound comes out of my mouth. Still the thought, Will and Michael together. The smallest thread unravels in the back of my mind, a connection to an event I can't remember. Will and Michael linked somehow. Michael knows I dated Will. It helped sculpt the slightly dangerous persona he imagined. A writer who'd met fascinating, colorful people and yet chosen me. But does Will know I married Michael? They've never met, but suddenly I see filament dancing between them, holding them together. Well, baby cakes, Will sighs as he brushes his cool lips against my forehead. Maybe you'll wake up tomorrow. Will, I say, I am awake. Baby cakes is wide awake. But the words smolder in my mouth. Like a child in her bed, eyes secretly open at 2 a.m. in a house full of adults, poised to memorize and weight the meaning of every cabinet that squeaks open, every low, throaty growl from the room next door. There is danger in no one knowing you are awake.